What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another live stream for you beautiful people out there. And there has been some crazy things happening as of today, the last 12 hours. Some things that no one would have expected that have come out the blue, surprised everyone. To help us break everything down and talk through it is the brilliant Brian Daigle in the building. How are we doing, Brian?
Good morning, Simon, everyone in the chat. Or should I say good afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, crazy would be one word of putting it, wouldn't it? It would be one way of putting it.
Exactly. You can do the Truman Show. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, look, we did have a game yesterday, which we'll talk about later on in the stream, beating Burnley 1-0 in the FA Cup, making it to the fourth round. But before we get into all that jazz, there has been some major breaking news. You might have got an inkling in the thumbnail and the title of the stream as to what has happened. But Tottenham have agreed a deal and are set to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig, who is set to join on a 6-month loan deal. I'll go through the timeline of how everything was broken today through all the relevant journalists. So Florian Pletterberg said that RB Leipzig striker Timo Werner on the verge of joining Tottenham on a 6-month loan deal. It is very hot. Leipzig and Spurs in final negotiations today. More details to be clarified. In brackets, option to buy. The 27-year-old is ready to leave the training camp of Leipzig soon. He then went on to say, it is likely that Tottenham will cover Werner's salary until the end of the season. There's been significant movement in the poker since yesterday. Werner is ready to join Tottenham on a 6-month loan deal immediately. Final details between the club will be clarified today. Charlie Eccleshare confirming Werner is poised to join Tottenham on loan from RB Leipzig. The clubs are finalising the details of a loan deal that would see Werner move to North London until the end of the 23-24 season. Romano on Instagram has said Werner has accepted Spurs as an ideal destination and Ange Postecoglou wants the player. Talks over a loan are advancing and progressing fast. Leipzig and Tottenham are clarifying terms, including fee and whether the deal should include an option to buy. Talks are positive. Werner is believed to be set to leave Marco Rose's camp over the weekend to fly to North London. David Heitner says Tottenham are in advanced talks with RB Leipzig over a loan move for Timo Werner. Postecoglou is keen to complete deals early in January as the manager seeks to drive his project at Spurs and is open to strengthening his front three and has identified Werner as a player who would suit his plans due to his pace, intensity and ability to meet his pressing demands and keys to his tactical plan. Eckner from out in Germany says Timo Werner expected to join Tottenham this weekend, with two clubs finalising the details of a loan deal until the end of the season. One of the final details that is discussed is a potential buy option for Tottenham. Man United were also monitoring Werner, but the player and his representatives have decided that Tottenham ought to be his next destination. Philip Fines, also a Sky Germany journalist, says Tottenham's move for Werner picked up in the last 24 hours as they got serious and signalled Leipzig that they wanted to sign Werner quickly. There are no weeks of negotiations. Rather, it was a dynamic move, and especially yesterday, the pace picked up. Discussions are well advanced and should now be finalised. Both teams basically agree Werner can go to London. The details of the modalities will be clarified today. Paul O'Keefe confirming that Werner will travel to London tomorrow, and Fabrizio Romano and Leipzig have confirmed that Werner is not in today's matchday squad as he is negotiating a move to Tottenham Hotspur. Romano confirming that Tottenham will cover 100% of his wages, and we're just waiting to confirm what the buy option will be at the end of this season. So, unbelievable news coming out of Tottenham, really. The fact that we're now set to sign Timo Werner. It's fair to say this transfer has split opinion amongst the Tottenham fan base as to whether people are happy about the potential signing or not. Obviously, he was a massive flop at Chelsea, it's fair to say, after signing for about 45 million pounds. Did win trophies, but in terms of the expectation going into his move at Chelsea, he was absolutely it was an absolute goal machine at Leipzig before he joined Chelsea. Scored so many goals at RB Leipzig before he joined Chelsea. I think the season before he joined Chelsea, he had scored 28 league goals in the Bundesliga in 33 league games. So he came with massive expectations. So when he joined Chelsea, he had 2 seasons there. In his first season, got 6 goals and 8 assists, so 14 goal contributions in 35 games. Second season, I guess this is just the Premier League, he only got 5 goal contributions in 21 games, 4 goals and 1 assist. So really didn't provide Chelsea what they were looking for. Gone back to Leipzig. To be fair, last season, 12 goal contributions in 27 games, but this season has only played 8 games, scored 2 goals, has been out of favour for Leipzig. But just to give you a flavour of how he was doing for Leipzig before the Chelsea move, in the 4 seasons before he moved to Chelsea, he got 19 goal contributions, then 11. He got 26 goal contributions, then 20, then 23, and then 36. So he was a goal contribution machine. And then it really dried up at Chelsea, unfortunately for him. And he's really lost his confidence since going back to Leipzig. And he hasn't looked the same player, to be honest. But if we are getting anything close to the player that he was before the Chelsea move, then maybe this could be a smart bit of business. But Brian, how do you assess this move? Is it just a cheap option that when maybe we should be going all out to really spend big money on an attacker right now? Or could this be a smart piece of business?
So first of all, you mentioned the timeline. Obviously, I'm 5 hours behind you. I woke up about 1 a.m., which is 6 a.m. your time. Just had a quick check, nothing. Then woke up in the morning and my phone was red hot. It was just, I was like, what the hell is going on? Checked it, and obviously this story broke. Now, first of all, I've made a whole beeline on all the channels I go on this season saying the only barometer I'm judging Levy on is speed of player coming in. Not the price, not the deal, not the country they play for, whether I know them. And this is a deal that's coming in quick. And not only quick, out of the blue. So if it's the only barometer I'm judging him on, then I've got to, if I'm, like I've said before, if I criticize where I think I have to praise on certain things, and this will be a deal done very quickly and in. Do I think he's the right player? Personally, if I had a list of 400 players I could have named that I said I want at Tottenham, I completely forgot this player even existed, such as it's been here. And that's not bad on him. I just went to Germany. Obviously, his time at Chelsea was not brilliant. He's just a player I would never have thought of in any time to say, oh, he'd be good at Tottenham, because I've completely forgotten about him. Does he have electrifying pace? Yes. I love the bit that I actually forgot when you mentioned about how Postecoglou thinks he can offer the demands to the press. Now, we've seen recently with Ben Davies, another hamstring injury that we keep picking up. People are saying they don't want to see Kulusevski on the wing. I'm one of them. I want to see him in the centre, or Brennan Johnson isn't doing well, or Brian Hill. This might put the Jota deal to bed. I think it's a smart move. I'll be honest. I think it's a smart move. Do I think he's going to set the world alight and get the goals? We'll have to see. But is he coming to right some wrongs at Chelsea? Now, what I'm about to say is, well, I'm not comparing him to these two, but Chelsea did have a Mo Salah where it didn't work, didn't even get on the pitch. Listen, Werner got minutes on the pitch and was a complete flop. But he went away, came back. De Bruyne again, they were a lot younger. So I'm just saying, there's people that go to certain teams and can't do it, and then could come to us and do it. I don't know if he will or he won't, but I said I want players in early. This is one coming in early. I'd rather it be a defender we were talking about, but this guy, if he can click, we know, like you just said, he can cause serious damage. But it's just whether Ange can get the confidence pump going through his veins again, and let's hope he can.
Yeah, and it's one of those deals where he is coming back looking to prove a point, isn't he, after his kind of failed move to Chelsea all those years, a couple years ago now. Also, it gives us a bit of versatility. Can play across the front line. Can play off the left, up front, off the right. I do think, in my opinion, his best performances in his career have probably come down the middle. When he was a striker at Leipzig, that's where he was getting all his goals from. When he was, being that electric runner in behind, and everyone, you can call out his finishing if you want, but you don't get 28 league goals in the Bundesliga if you're a bad finisher at the end of the day in one season. I know you could say his Bundesliga tax and all that, but and to be fair, he has. If you can probably find a compilation of his best finishes, and you can probably find a compilation of some of his worst misses as well.
Yep.
And definitely, he had a lot of those at Chelsea. I don't know what happened to him at Chelsea, but all the confidence seemed to drain from his body, and he did not seem the same player as he was at Leipzig at Chelsea. And he had his moments. I remember he did have some good moments at Chelsea. I remember one game they played Real Madrid away, and he had a brilliant game, which Chelsea ended up winning, I think 3-1 or 3-2 in the end. But they were 3-0 up at one point, and Werner was running them ragged. He's one of those players, if he plays to his strengths, he can be an absolute nuisance, and he can cause serious problems for the opposition. He's got, as you say, incredible pace in behind. He's an incredibly effective player running in behind off the ball. If you find he's one of those players where if you time the pass right, there's nothing the opposition can do. He's off, and you can't catch him. He's one of those, but I do question, I don't think he's the best one-on-one dribbler when he's up against a defender. I think like when he's squared up and he's going to be one-on-one with the defender in space. Apart from if he's going to just kind of run past him using his pace, where you need space to do that. I don't think he's an incredible. I don't think he's got like a box of tricks, or he's like really great at dribbling, running at defenders. I do think he relies on his pace a lot. In terms of wide areas, when it comes to creating, I think he's more of the Sonny mold when it comes to playing in the wide area, where he's quite good at cutting inside and creating shooting opportunities, or maybe running into the back post. But do I see him getting to the byline and providing a pinpoint cross or something like that? I don't know. I don't think so. In terms of his weak foot as well, when he's playing on the left, do I see him going on the outside and putting in a beautiful cross in with his left foot, or a cut back? I see him a bit like Brendan Johnson on that front. Like, I think he can be a bit of a goal threat, but is he a creative threat? I do question that, albeit he did get a few assists in his time at Leipzig. I think. But I guess my point is, I think it's a in terms of a low risk move where he's only here for 6 months and it's only a buy option, and he's a stopgap for players out injured or out on international duty at the moment, and it gives us another body in the front line, and as well, he could really work well with our pressing system. I think I'm sure there'll be a few occasions where he catches out a few defenders, and maybe we get a couple of goals through that kind of thing. I think it makes sense. I think January is a very tough window to operate unless you're going to go and splash big money on an attacker. I don't see Tottenham doing that. So, looking in the market for kind of undervalued deals, this one is probably top of the pile from that, in terms of a deal which you can maybe get it's kind of low risk but potentially high reward if we can get into the level he was, all those years ago when he was at RB Leipzig. So I think it makes sense. I don't think he's the perfect fit for what we want in general, but I think he's an extra body. He adds more pace to the front line as well, which we're lacking without Son. And he adds versatility. So, and I do think he can get goals. And imagine a front three of Son on the left, Werner up front, and Johnson on the right. That's an electric front three when it comes to pace. And I know there'll be teams, who sit in a low block and restrict that front three of space. But imagine that front three against a good team who leave us all that space, and then you add Maddison into the mix, who can play an early pass in behind. That could be a very, very dangerous tactic against really good teams like, say, a Liverpool or a Man City or an Arsenal, who obviously are going to come at you and leave space in behind. That front three would be I could see that being a very dynamic front three.
Not just that, mate. Simeon, mate, you add Porro and Destiny to that with their pace, power. It's pace everywhere. What I will say as well, what I think this does bring is when Richarlison came back and started against Newcastle, it was like, right, do we play him in the centre or do we play Son in the centre? Does that mean we put the other one up left? Well, now there's a third person to add to that dynamic. So if Son's having a poor game or Richie's having a poor game, it's like, right, well, do you take one off and put him on the left and move the other one central? Well, now there's that added person. There's that added player that can contribute. It could be an inspired buy. It really could. You look at it, whether there's an option to buy at the end or what the value is, we'll see. But I think this either goes one way that it's another flop, or it goes the exact opposite way, where it ends up being an absolute blessing in disguise. And the most important thing for me about this whole deal, which means we haven't spent money, which means, again, this goes on central defenders. You got more money to go and spend. If you're thinking to Debo, if that's going to be the one was hard to get, well, you haven't got to spend a transfer fee on a striker. We know how desperately we need defenders. We know how quickly we need them, especially with Ben Davies picking up. There's more finances to go on that. But I think Werner can do something. I think he can, like you said, the pace, the power, like his finishing has been a bit of a letdown, hasn't it? His one-on-ones, I think he's one like Jermaine Defoe, his instinct. If he has time to think, he dillies and too many ideas come into his head. But like you said, if we break the offside trap and with people like Maddison and you have Johnson one side, Son in the middle, and Werner, it could be danger for other teams. It really could be.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I don't think it's a deal where I'm sitting here. Look, if we'd signed him permanently, I would be questioning it. I'll be like, is this a smart move? Do we really need another player like him? Because we have players who in the squad who maybe aren't the best technically, but do have a lot of pace. Like Brendan Johnson, he's quite similar to Brendan Johnson on that front. Like, not the best technically in terms of close control, very nimble. When he's in tight areas, is he able to wriggle out of tight spaces and things like that? Is he able to like break down a low block, those kind of things? Yeah, I do question that with Werner. I don't know if he's capable of that right now. But I just think in this market, I think it's a deal that makes sense, especially right now, given all the issues we have with the squad and up front. It just means basically we're not going to have to rely on Hill anymore on the left-hand side. If something does happen to Richarlison, if Richarlison gets injured, we have Werner up front, and maybe even Werner can play up front ahead of Richarlison in certain games. It means as well there's going to be less need for Johnson to ever play on the left-hand side as well. He can maybe stick to the right now. Yep. So for a 6-month loan deal, just to see how things go, and could he be a potential option moving forward? Maybe if things go really well, can we sign him for 20 million euros, which would be a good value deal if he turns out to be a really good signing. And as well, if there's one guy you want to put an arm around the shoulder, give you confidence, and try and get your form back, it's Ange Postecoglou, isn't it? I think he can do that. I think we've seen, and also I think we've seen this season how many times has Ange proved us wrong with so many players. Look at Ben Davies, how well he's played at centre back. You look at Pedro Porro, how he's become one of the best right backs in the league when a lot of people questioned whether he could fit that role under Postecoglou. I think just there's so many examples this season. Look at Lo Celso, how he's come back into form thanks to Ange when everyone wrote him off. Like, there are so many examples of Ange Postecoglou getting the best out of players that in positions that people haven't fancied. So why not believe that Werner can be added to that list?
I'm with you completely on that, Sim. You're looking at it. Certain managers have certain players where they've taken them to other places as well because they know what they get out of them. Right now, it looks like Timo Werner, who is very, very low on confidence, could come here. And like you said, if there's anyone that you would think could turn lack of confidence into supreme confidence, you would have to say it was Ange Postecoglou. You mentioned people like Porro. You mentioned players that we've brought in that we hadn't even heard of, and he's turned them around. Players we had that couldn't get a tune out from other managers, and Ange Postecoglou has been able to do it. So it's a wait and see. Like I said, this is going to cause controversy because of where he's come from and the experience he had in the Premier League. But if we get the first RB Leipzig striker at Tottenham for 6 months, then I think there'll be a lot of people that will be absolutely delighted with this transfer. If we get the latter, then there's no. Hopefully, it's only an option to buy, and then we cut our losses.
Exactly. So I don't think there's much downside. The only thing you could argue is, look at the position we're on the table. We really have got a really big opportunity to achieve something special. Should we be wasting our time with a player who's terribly out of form, who has had experience in the Premier League and not a very good experience, and maybe a player who, do we need this type of player right now in the squad? And is it a case of Levy, being cheap again and maybe not pushing the boat out to sign an attacker for real money, and rather just taking the low risk option by getting a loan deal rather than spending maybe 50, 60 million on a proper attacker who the squad really need? I mean, there's that element to it. Which I understand because we've been here, done that kind of thing. But I just think right now I never thought Tottenham were going to spend massive money on an attacker, and I think if you're going to sign an attacker on a permanent deal, that's 100% right for you in January. That's what it's going to take, and I never expected us to do that this window.
No, you're right. Like I said, I want as much money as we can spend or have got, all to go on the defence. Yes, if we can find the deals here and there, but it's imperative, even before this window opened, that another centre back came in, and then obviously since we've had we've now got the Romero injury, it looks like Ben Davies could be out. Yes, Van de Ven is coming back, and that's a positive, but we should be strengthening. Even though it's positive, we shouldn't be easing off because he's back. We should be going, right, he's back, Romero's coming back. Dier could be out. We still need strength. So, as much finances as we're going to spend to go on the defence is more than happy with me.
Reading some comments about this prospective signing that people are bringing up. Leslie Crawford says 10 goals and 13 assists in 56 Premier League games is a decent return. Plus Champions League winner beating a top Man City side in the final. 10 goals and 13 assists in 56 games. That's 23 goal contributions in 56 games. Not as bad as maybe people make out.
Oh, it is over half.
It's just under half.
26, 52.
23, 52.
Oh, 23, sorry. My bad. 46,
yeah,
sorry. I thought you said 26, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, 23 goal contributions in 56 games. So just under half, which, by the way people talk about him, you probably expect like 1 in 5 or something. So maybe not as bad as people saying. Next Level English says he cost 25 million, so could be available for under 20 million, which I think is a very good value for a fast, hard-working international player. I think what the biggest advantage of having Werner in is the pressing side of our game. I think he's a very good presser, and I think he could really help us get closer to the opposition. Maybe help Tottenham push up even more, and especially when Van de Ven is back in the back line. You've got Werner being intense up front, hounding the opposition, rushing them into long passes, and then you've got Van de Ven at the back sweeping it all up. So I definitely think that part of it could definitely work.
Well, also, Sim, to add to this as well, if it is to be 6 months, there's another guy that will come in that does know the Premier League. There'll be another international player that comes in that will speak fluent English. So there's no trying to get the language down or anything. So he will slot straight into the Premier League life and life in London as well. So that's little bit of a plus you can have on it. So he'll come. Listen, we're in a very, very good place right now, as in where the league stands. We're in the next round of the FA Cup. It's a no-risk transfer to me.
Chris Benoit, whatever that's his name. It says Werner, Richarlison. We only now miss Darwin Núñez for the ultimate front three. That would be front three that misses a lot of chances. TJR says great for depth and stopgap signing until the summer. Yeah, I completely agree. I think from that point of view, it definitely makes sense getting Timo Werner. So look, I think it's a smart signing. It can turn out to be a very smart signing if things turn around. If it doesn't work out, it is what it is. You send him back. It's not the end of the world. But I think just for what we need, I think it can work. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it can work. So I'm willing to be positive about it and give it a go. And I don't think it's something to be up in arms about. The fact that we're getting Timo Werner on a loan deal, and apparently he was of interest to Man United and Aston Villa as well before Tottenham swooped in and were able to pounce on him. I think it just goes to show how difficult it is in the current market to get the quality you need as well.
It is. I mean, I think a lot of this has got to be just how left field this has been. It's all been defend, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, a striker or forward, should we say, because he can play multiple across the line, has come out, and it's an ex-Chelsea player. And it's a player who hasn't had the best of years recently. It's just such a left field one that this was always going to be, like you said, it's a bit Marmite, really, isn't it? This. How it's been reacted to, and only time will tell. But I can't see, in all honesty, how we lose in this deal. I mean, we bring him in for 6 months. If he's a hit, and if there is an option to buy, then we can activate it. If it doesn't, we go back, and who knows? Right now, and God knows with Paratici, McKenzie, Lange, maybe there is a top striker that they want. But they're waiting to see if we get Champions League. To wait and see, sir. This could be just a cover till summer. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, I've said before that I'm only judging on speed, and this has been done quickly. So,
and I think that's a good point as well. The fact this is getting done fairly early on in the window, it doesn't give off the impression, even whether it is or it isn't, it doesn't give off the impression like other deals that we're scrambling. To get anyone in, anyone we can find. It gives off the impression that we've looked at him, we've decided early, this is a guy we want, and we're going for it. So I agree with you. I think, the timing of it does lend to more encouragement for sure. So I do agree with that point. I think it maybe could be overlooked sometimes.
One thing as well, like we said, and I got pointed out with the Vicario deal, they're looking at the data apparently. And as you said, with Ange's pressing and everything that Ange does, maybe the attributes of what they have done does suit what Ange wants him to do. We don't know. So if we're going down this data analytical way that everyone wanted us to go down, if we do pluck a player based on that, then we can't have it both ways.
Yeah, agreed. Next story on the update, we're going to be talking about Eric Dier. And this story to Bayern Munich does seem to be getting over the line. Matt Law says Bayern Munich are ready to pay a fee under $4 million for the signing of Tottenham Hotspur central defender Eric Dier. The Football Insider saying that Harry Kane has pushed hard for Bayern Munich to sign Dier. The striker has highly recommended the former THFC teammate to Thomas Tuchel and the board. He's also discussed the potential move with Eric Dier, and David Heitner says the wheels are spinning on a deal for Eric Dier to join Bayern Munich this month with personal terms in place. Look, I'm just the main thing about this deal at the moment is I'm very surprised we are getting a fee as being insinuated by Matt Law, which considering that we sounded like we were willing to let him go on a free, and the fact that he's got 6 months left on his deal, any fees are positive at this point. It was very brutal, wasn't it? Yesterday from Ange Postecoglou, he was asked in his press conference, with Ben Davies injured, can you afford to let Dier go? And and I love it. He had a little pause. He was like, yes. And he was just like one word answer. He was like, yep, we can. And obviously it caused a bit of a issue, the fact that Dier was left out of the squad. He was questioned about it. So it does seem to be hotting up, though, this Dier to Bayern Munich, which obviously seems to be a goer. It does seem to be one that's actually going to happen. We've all expressed our surprise that Bayern are very interested in him. But I think the fact that we're getting a fee is really, really positive, isn't it?
It is. I mean, first of all, Harry Kane, thank you very much indeed for doing your wise scouting report to Thomas Tuchel. It's much appreciated. This is a big deal. The fact that we're getting money for him, and the fact that he's actually going ahead. This to me is just as left field as Werner coming to us. These are two completely. If someone had said to anyone at the start of the window, Bayern Munich to Eric Dier to Bayern Munich and Timo Werner to Tottenham, I don't think a lot of people will give you good odds on that. He'll go to Germany. Maybe he will suit German football. Maybe the start of football will bring the best out in Eric Dier. Maybe Eric Dier will be able to resurrect the career he started to gain at Spurs. But yeah, wish him well. But time is done.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, he was left out yesterday. Ange did say he was injured, but whether you believe him, up
Don't
to
doubt
you.
his integrity.
Look.
Don't doubt his integrity.
I would believe him if it's worth your health. I would believe him for sure. I wouldn't want one of those death stares from Ange going my way. That's for sure. Next up, we're going to be talking about Radu Dragusin. And there's a few stories surrounding him over the last 24 hours. Damaso says that Genoa has two very concrete offers for Dragusin from Napoli and from Tottenham. Napoli have offered €20 million in cash, the loan of Zanoli and Ostergaard on a permanent basis. For Genoa, the cash figure is fine, but they would like to reverse the two formulas. They would like Zanoli on a permanent basis and Ostergaard on loan, or would the proposed formula of a larger cash of around €25 million. Napoli is trying to push to get ahead of Tottenham, who instead went so far as to verbally offer €25 million. Sky Sports News are reporting that Tottenham have no concerns over Napoli's interest in Dragusin as talks continue with Genoa over the deal for the centre-back. And Romano has just tweeted recently saying, Tottenham keep working also on Dragusin deal, which they are ironing out the final details of the Werner deal. Dragusin talks over the structure of the deal continue over the weekend. And Sacha Tavoleri, who's a Belgian journalist, he's saying that Tottenham are preparing a second offer for Dragusin, having had a €18 million bid rejected. The defender prefers a move to Spurs over Napoli. So, look, the deal's still very much there for us if we want it. Napoli interest is definitely complicating things when it comes to this deal. But this one's really important to get done as soon as possible, especially before the Man United game.
So it's another day of the Daily Dragathon. So I think what was telling as well is we just mentioned with Timo Werner, he's been left out of the Red Bull squad. Dragusin actually played yesterday for Genoa, so take that as you wish from both sides, from both Tottenham and Napoli. We keep hearing this deal is edging closer. Well, if it was that close, I don't think Dragusin plays for risk of injury. So I don't know where this deal is going, but the good thing is we've now got when do we play United? Is it next Saturday or next Sunday?
Sunday.
Okay, so we got just over a week, a week to get this done, or Friday to be in the squad. I think this deal gets on, but it's just getting boring now. It's getting boring. Napoli, I don't think this is agent talk anymore. I think there is genuine, concrete interest from Napoli. And it's just to see who can get the race for his signature first. I still believe that Dragusin wants us more than Napoli. And let's hope we can use that to our advantage. But like we said, defenders are the most important things we need to get in, especially with Davies' injury. And let's just hope this deal is done and doesn't drag a thon.
100%. I've got a feeling this isn't the last time we're going to be talking about this deal before it gets done. I'm sure there's going to be a few more twists and turns. I reckon even maybe there'll be news coming out that he has a greedy deal with Napoli at one point before Tottenham decide to get their act together and stump up the money. It's hard to know what is an agent talk. I agree. I do think the Napoli interest is genuine. I do think they're looking to sign him. But whether they're using that Napoli interest to drive up the price for Tottenham because Dragusin does want Tottenham as opposed to Napoli, it's hard to know that as well. That could also be the case. So the interest could be genuine, but they could be using that interest to drive up the price from Tottenham. So both things could be true.
It's just we're obviously, again, what I would say with this, I've been saying this, and it's the 5 million, just pay it. We're not talking large amounts. Just get it done. Paratici, as you said yesterday in the update, has said if it's a few million, just do it. And that's Paratici saying it. Well, now we've had another injury to a defender. Romero's still out. Van de Ven coming back, but not at full match fitness. We desperately need cover now. We desperately need defensive reinforcements. So hopefully that will spark us being a bit more firm and a bit more easier to part with or raise the offer and get this deal done.
All right, well, that is your Tottenham update. Let me know in the comments section below anything we have discussed in the update today. If there's any more breaking news, we'll be talking about it on this live stream. But that is all we have for the transfer news. Let's talk about the game Spurs had yesterday.
Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
All right, I'll read through some comments while
there you go.
while Brian is indisposed, let's say. Rob Brown said, if Dragusin falls through, who is likely to arrive? Great question. Obviously, maybe we go serious to get on someone like a Tosin or a Lloyd Kelly. But you know what? There's likely that a name will just drop out the hat out of nowhere, because Timo Werner has literally come from absolute nowhere. No one expected Timo Werner to pop up as he did this morning, and all of a sudden, there we have it. He's a Tottenham player. So, or not yet, but it looks like he's set to join on loan. So, I think it's hard to know about names. Clearly, Spurs are keeping their cards very close to their chest at the moment. So, we'll have to wait and see what kind of player will come through if Dragusin does. If Dragusin does fall through. Any other? Let me see. Louis Joe Turner says, Levy is so tight. It's not even a lot of dough for this day and age. Sometimes you got to just pay up, especially this amount. So annoying. Yeah, I understand the frustration, but as well, Levy can't be seen to be just cowering to any demands, can he? So I guess he's always going to barter and try and get the price that's right for him. And that's always how he's done his deals. So that's how I expect it to carry on. King Hoddle says Werner was a bolt from the blue and a bit like one of his shots. Yeah, not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. Jack, a few super chats here as well. Jack Durbin says everyone sub to Tottenham on tour. 100%. Is it in the title of the video of the stream? Let me just check. I think it should be. One sec, maybe not.
If it's not, you're going to get a fine like Ange Postecoglou, who gives red cards.
1 sec. Yeah, it's in the title of the stream. So go into the everyone go into the title of the stream, click Tottenham on Tour and click subscribe. Big up to Brian, show him the love. Come on everyone. All right. So we did have an FA Cup game yesterday, Brian. Home to Burnley. It wasn't the best of games, I think it's fair to say, although it definitely promised in the early exchanges to be quite an open game, but it did turn out to be quite a stodgy performance, didn't it? It wasn't, it's fair to say, the best performance from Spurs last night, and we did struggle to get over the line. It was a bit of magic from Pedro Porro right at the end to get us the win, but maybe yesterday's performance is linked to the news we're getting this morning, because the front line just didn't really click yesterday, did it? We did struggle to open up Burnley, a Burnley team who aren't known for having the best defence, and the front three were probably the weak point yesterday, weren't they?
They were, but you look at it, like you said, it was the stodgy was the great word for it, Sim. That's a great word to use for it. It really was a nothing game for quality. But you look at it when you say that front line, I could also say the midfield. But the reason I say the midfield were giving them the ammunition. You had Bentancur coming back from fitness, Lo Celso coming back from fitness, and Ollie Skip. So the creativity wasn't really there to support the front line and get the balls into them. This game was all about the defence for me. I think the defence, the whole back four, and we'll speak about them obviously in more depth later, I think deserve a hell of a lot of credit. Yes, Burnley offered not that much, but the defence, I think, kept them quiet. It really was, like you said, a really dull game. You probably had more fun. Thank God you were in the studio, not the game, because that was a hard watch. But yeah, you always say there's a bit of magic that can win a game, and my God, will be graced with a bit of magic. That was enough magic to win any game. That strike was sensational from Porro. Absolutely.
Yeah, unbelievable, wasn't it? It was a sensational goal. It's something he's been threatening to do all season, isn't it? Because we know what a shot he's got on him. Surprisingly enough, that was actually his first goal of the season. But it's more evidence, isn't it, if we ever needed, that this guy has so much ability on the ball. And when it comes to right backs or full backs in the Premier League with that kind of ability, he's in the top tier, isn't he?
Yeah, I literally think you're looking at when we did Anger Management earlier today. Someone mentioned, I can't remember who it was, that you look at these right backs like Trent Alexander-Arnold have this magic inside them where they've got brilliant range of passing. Listen, I love Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he's an incredible player. Porro has got that passing. We've seen him make the through balls. We can see what he's becoming more and more influential. He really is. He is in that top tier for right backs, in my opinion. And he's becoming hugely influential for Tottenham Hotspur. Not with just what he's doing on the pitch, just his attitude, his drive, his commitment, his dedication. You see the passion that he has. He is, from where he started when he joined us at the end of the window to where he is now, he's done a full 180. I was one of his biggest no-nos in defence. My God, I'm one of his biggest yeses in defence now. Incredible.
Yeah, 100%. And as you say, I think our backline definitely deserves a lot of credit for how they kept Burnley quiet yesterday. It's probably what won us the game at the end. I thought Emerson and Ben Davies were exceptional, especially sweeping up, when passes went over the top, and we had dangerous moments throughout. Amdouni was getting in some dangerous moments, and Emerson and Davis really stepped up for us throughout the game, and it was there was some hairy moments. In fact, you could probably say Burnley had the best two chances of the game. You could argue that one in the first half, which Amdouni blazed over the bar, and right at the end from the corner, which the goalkeeper flicked on, and Amdouni. Again, it fell to him and he missed the target, luckily for us. But I think apart from those couple of moments, we did keep Burnley very quiet. And I think on an occasion where the attack was so off its game and we weren't really making the most of our possession, when you keep a clean sheet and you defend that well, you always give yourself a chance of just one mistake or one moment of quality the other end winning you the game.
Yeah, I mean, I keeping that clean sheet for me was massive. I can't remember. I think Nottingham Forest was the last time we kept a clean sheet, and I can't even remember the time before that. I think it may have even been Luton, from what I'm trying to remember. We haven't kept a clean sheet very often, so getting one is always fantastic. And as you said, our attack wasn't on fire, so it became essential that our defence were. And for once, I think Vicario only had like the one save to make. I can't remember him doing a lot. I got very worried at how easily they exposed the offside trap for the one that Amdouni blazed over. That concerned me at the beginning, but that seemed to wake them up, and it stopped that. But that defence had to be on point yesterday, and they most certainly were.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, in terms of some other individuals like Bentancur, it was really great to see him get 80 minutes, and I actually thought he looked a lot better and a lot sharper than he did against Bournemouth as well on this occasion. I thought some of his first time one-touch passes forward were absolutely delightful, and I actually think he was kind of a level above the rest of our midfield. And if everyone else was on his level, it would have been a much easier game for us. And it was, I thought he had a really strong performance. It's really great to see him getting back into form.
So first of all, to see him with the captain's armband was great to see. Because we all thought, you and I were saying it'd probably be Ben Davies because of the experience. But to see Bentancur have it was fantastic to see. And someone also said in the chat for us on my channel a few days ago that Bentancur reminds him of how easy he makes things look and how he glides and how silky he is, like a Roger Federer, and just how he makes things look so simple. And we saw it against Villa when he got wiped out by Matty Cash, and he's coming back and doing this again. He is just such a silky quality player, and the more minutes we get out of him, the better. And I was delighted to see him as captain.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he deserved it. After all the trouble he's been through recently with the injuries he's had, and then having that setback after working so hard to come back from the injury, it's so nice for Ange to kind of acknowledge that. He said that it was that reward for the type of person he is and how he's reacted to these injuries. And it was a lovely moment, wasn't it, seeing Bentancur lead the team out, and then he put in a really top performance and 80 minutes in his legs. Hopefully, by the time Man United comes around, he'll be ready for a full 90, which is definitely needed with our current options at the moment. Other players who stood out, I think, obviously Destiny, I thought, for the first hour at least, had an exceptional game. I thought he was bullying their left-hand side. But Ollie Skip, again, another big opportunity for Ollie Skip to impress. And, starting in the number 8 position. Again, just didn't quite do it, did he? He ran around a lot, put a lot of effort in. But I always felt like when he was pressing, he was kind of half a step off it. When he's on the ball, wasn't quite accurate or quick enough with the ball as well. It's just another opportunity passing him by.
It was. All I can remember with Ollie Skip was in the first half, he got the ball, he played that through ball through that was so heavy that it just went straight to their defenders and I think rolled through to their goalkeeper. And I can't remember another thing he did apart from went off. That's it. And I just think as much as I want Ollie Skip to succeed at this football club, if we'd had a Mourinho or a Conte, he's ideal. I think we're starting to see with the players coming back, like your Bentancurs, he's just not fit to purpose for the Ange Postecoglou system. Now, Ollie Skip, I think if he goes to another football club, if he leaves this club, which I think he will do, whether it be now or the summer, you put him in a different club, he can flourish. I just don't think the Ange Postecoglou system suits him, whatever role we try to give him. And it showed yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. He's found one thing again. I don't like him in that number 8 position. I think his best position is in the number 6 when he has maybe a bit more time on the ball. He can pick out his passes. He can show off his long passing range as well, his switch of play, which I think he's got in his locker. I feel like when he's in that middle of the park, that box-to-box role where, everything's going at 100 miles an hour and he's got to make quick passes and he's got to make quick challenges and everything has to be at a quick pace. And when he's in the, I think he struggles. When he's in the number 6, he can take his bit more time on the ball. He's got a bit more space as well when he's in a deeper position. He's also more aware of who's challenging him, who's going to kind of press him. I just feel like he's a lot more comfortable in that role. So I don't know if he's going to continue to play in the number 8. I just don't think he's ever going to be suited to what Ange wants, and I think he's on borrowed time at this point, to be honest, because he's not been great whenever he's been called upon, to be honest. It's easy to forget as well. First day of the season, he actually started, didn't he? He started ahead of Papa Matsar. So I'm wondering what Ange saw in pre-season to think, Skip's actually ahead of Sarr at the moment. But he was, I remember, and then, that's true. And then I remember he was so poor in that Brentford game, and then Sarr took his spot and never really looked back. And Skip has never once put in one performance, as good as one of Sarr, even as good as one of Sarr's worst performances, and that's damning on unfortunately for Ollie Skip at the moment. I'm a big Skip fan, but at the moment I just don't see how he can have a future if he keeps playing in the way he is. But I do feel bad for him because his game time is limited, isn't it? And it's difficult for him to get a rhythm and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I do think Ollie Skip did struggle yesterday, and the front three. I mean, they struggled badly. Richarlison only had a couple of openings, which he kind of scuffed with his left foot. Brennan Johnson started on the left and then was a bit ineffective. Moved over to the right, looked a bit better, but wasn't there for that long. And Kulusevski, I thought, had one of his poorer games for a while, to be honest. I was very disappointed with Kulusevski. But what do you put the struggles of the front three down to?
A lot of it, like I said to you, the midfield. We looked at it with Brighton as well. Brighton, when we started the first half, the midfield just didn't look at it. We need someone that's got that quick footballing brain to get the ball out early, get it wide. If we had a Maddison and a Bentancur fully fit right now, I think that front three was pretty obvious. You play your best players, you get best out of them. Brennan Johnson. Now we were talking about it in the Scotland Yard. To me, someone used the word at the Scotland Yard saying he looks timid, he looks scared, and I think that's the right word to use. I think when he had that long range shot where he cut him from the left in the first half, I thought, you haven't done that. You haven't taken the risks of having a long shot. And I thought, right now you're going to, hopefully that'll give you a bit more confidence. But you see, he's been in those positions and he won't shoot. He'll try that little pass inside into the penalty area to try, and it's just getting cut out. I think he's severely lacking in confidence. I think he just needs that one thing to happen. Like if one of those shots that had hit the post against Newcastle had gone in, he just needs that little confidence booster. Because have faith in him. I still think he can do a great job for us. I just think he's severely lacking in confidence.
Yeah, I completely agree. What did you make out of the substitutions at the end? 1-0 up, very very close game, very tense finish.
Yeah.
He decided to throw on Donnelly, Scarlett, and Ryan Sessegnon back from injury as well. Obviously, we ended up with the win, so can't say really backfired. But was that the smartest thing to do, to put them on in a high pressure situation, or do you think the experience will only help them?
Yeah, I'm going with the latter. Again, I've got to be a man of my word. I've been saying I want to see a Phillips, I want to see a Dorrington, I want to see a Donnelly. Obviously, when my boy Alfie is there, I want to see Alfie. I can't then say when he does it and then go, oh no, you shouldn't have done it then. It was very, very good to see Donnelly come on. It was very surprised to see Scott with Vélez. You knew it. The biggest surprise was obviously Ryan Sessegnon. Finally back after a very, very long time. So he did it at the right time. If he had done that in the 70th minute, maybe there would have been a little bit more. But I'm just happy, especially for Jamie Donnelly, that he's coming on, getting some minutes. They're definitely deserved. And I can't sit here and say, oh, play the youth, play the youth, play the youth. And then when we play them, have a go. So I'm happy they got the minutes.
All right. Well, we are through to the next round. At this point, it's just about getting past this stage, because with the injuries we have, it was always going to be difficult getting through these early rounds, and we're always kind of vulnerable to a shock, aren't we, because of the injuries we have and the players we've got missing in international tournaments and everything. So it's the crucial thing is we did get through to the next round. We are in the hat for the fourth round, and hopefully if we can get past that round, maybe with a few players through the door before that round, all of a sudden, with one of Arsenal or Liverpool definitely heading out, there's an opportunity for there, isn't it? And also the fact that Ange played such a strong team, he played as strong as possible. Do you reckon he was thinking yesterday about mistakes he made earlier in the season in the Carabao Cup, or do you think his plan was probably always to take this cup competition as serious as possible?
I think it's a bit of both. I really do. Also, you got to remember, this time we were limited. Compared to this team we could have picked against Fulham, compared to where we are now, it's night and day. So I know, obviously, from what we've heard with Ange Postecoglou, when he lived in Australia, FA Cup would have been the main game they got. He knows just how important this cup is, and the world knows how important this cup is, not just to Tottenham, but to English football. So I think he would have done that. And like I said, we've got here. We're into the next round. That's all that's important. And hopefully the filth go out. Hopefully we don't. Then I'll take anyone except Liverpool away because of our record at Anfield. And we go from there. Like I said to you before about how I'm convinced we're going to do it for Terry Venables yesterday. Well, someone mentioned today is Terry Venables' or would have been Terry Venables' birthday.
Oh,
so
wow.
The day after we go in the third, I've got it. Our name's on the cup. Our name is on the FA Cup.
Yeah, it'd definitely be. It would be poetic to win the FA Cup in this year. The last manager to win an FA Cup for Tottenham passed away. That would be really, really something. So let's hope we can do it. But yeah, look, that is our match review for the Burnley game. Our 1-0 win at home to them. Let's get into our player ratings for the game, and we'll start off with Vicario. I gave him a 7. Brian gives him a 6. Didn't really have too much to do. Burnley only had one shot on target throughout the 90 minutes. It was a fairly routine save as well, if I remember rightly, from like 25 yards. I think it was a pretty routine save from Vicario. I think his passing was actually really good. A couple of occasions, actually. He had these really nice passes over the top of the Burnley defence, finding Brennan Johnson and putting us in quite promising positions, which I haven't seen from Vicario that much, those kind of passes. I thought what he had to do, he did well. But yeah, it was a fairly quiet day on the shot-saving front.
Yeah, that's the only reason I gave him a 6. I'm not going to give him a 5 because I'll never give him a 5 because he's definitely not average. He had one save to make. He made it. His distribution was good. It was a very, very quiet day for Vicario. So that's... by no means me saying he had a bad game. He just had very, very minimal things to do.
Completely agree. Next up, we're going to go with Pedro Porro. I gave him an 8. Brian gives him a 9. Obviously, the match winner on the day. What an unbelievable goal he did score. Brilliant finish from 25 yards, which was the only moment of real quality which won us the game. What I would say is before that goal, I don't think he was actually having one of his best games. I don't think he was terrible, but I think his set pieces were a bit poor. Some of his corners didn't quite reach the intended target. Some of his free kicks as well. Basically, his set piece delivery wasn't as it usually is. In general play, he did have a couple of hairy moments playing out from the back, but in general, he was pretty good. I thought a couple of occasions he did have some good deliveries from wide areas. I remember one cross he set up Brennan Johnson for a volley, which he put wide. But obviously, he gets a massive mark-up for a brilliant goal he scored.
That's exactly why he's got the 9 for me. Listen, like I said, his corners were concerning, but let's face it, we've had problems with corners for years and years and years since Eriksen. Maddison obviously out. I've given him that mark because I just think he's becoming so influential. He is. Do you know what? I'm putting him up there with if Bentancur hadn't been captain, I think this guy is in with a huge shout. The influence he's having, the passion, rallying up the crowd. He's doing it all. Yes, his set pieces were poor, but you mentioned the great cross for Brennan Johnson's volley. He's just incredible, and that finish was more than a point worthy. It was just sensational. I think they could bring 2 goalkeepers in the goal and they wouldn't have moved for it. It was just a thing of beauty. So for me, he's getting man of the match.
He's almost become our go-to creative force in Maddison's absence, isn't he? He's I think he's probably second in line now. While Maddison's away, he's become our most creative player, hasn't he? And that just goes to show what quality he has. Next up, Emerson Royale. We both gave him 8s. I thought pretty impeccable performance from him. Burnley couldn't get past him. I thought they really struggled to get in behind him. I actually one of the biggest things as well is the amount of headers he won. He was so good in the air, especially from Burnley goal kicks. He was gobbling up every header that they threw at him. Very aerially dominant on the day. And I thought on the floor, made some really good tackles. I thought supported the team really well. Didn't really put a foot wrong. So good performance from Emerson.
I'm with you as well. What did surprise me more was his anticipation of where the ball was going to be. His runs off the ball. Listen, a lot of people will fire shots at him when he's poor. But we got to give him credit where the whole back line were fantastic yesterday, and he had a huge part in that. So a very well deserved 8.
Yeah, completely agree. And his partner, Ben Davis, also both gave him 8s. Did pick up a little injury at the back end of the game, but doing a really nice slide challenge. But again, another strong showing from Ben Davis. They did really well to keep out the Burnley front line of Amdunia and Foster. I thought on the ball as well, he was confident. He was charging. He was confident to go into midfield and play some nice passes into Bentancur. I was really happy with him. I thought he put in a really strong showing. Again, Ben Davis.
Again, this man over the last since Van der Ven's injury has had to come in. And yes, he's had his odd moments where he's been poor or decisions. He's been caught off a yard short pace or whatever, but you cannot deny just how vital he's been in the absence. No one would have thought he'd have been as good as what he's done at the left centre back in a 2, not in a 3. And yesterday he put in an incredible performance. And even, like I said to you when I came on the show with you and Barnaby, the injury he picked up at the end was really struggling, couldn't come off because we made all our subs. Someone you want in the trenches with you that will always give everything he's got, and he deserves an 8 yesterday. I think him and Emerson together did the club proud.
Yeah, 100%. And he always gives 100%, doesn't he? Next up, Destiny Udogie, 8s all round again. Really strong, especially first half. I thought they really couldn't contain him. He just got his supreme physicality is something I'll never get bored of watching. Just the way he charges past people and they just can't do anything about it. And even when they try and foul him, they can't do anything about it because he's so strong that it takes probably 2 men to bring him down. He's that big. But I thought he was a massive threat as well going forward. I thought they were really struggling to contain him. Defensively, he had them on lockdown. I did think he maybe wasn't as effective in the second half, but I thought first half was really great and really good performance again from him.
his athleticism. I can't remember having someone on our left-hand side like this for athleticism since Gareth Bale. This man is a machine. And there was one point you said he was quiet in the second half, and he did go. He was a little bit quieter, but there was one incident where he'd made a tackle, or Ben Davies had in our own penalty box, and Udogie was next. Udogie was next to him, and then we went on a counter, and you just saw Destiny running past people like Roadrunner. Like literally, it was like people were in slow motion, and he was just whizzing past them. This man's athleticism, this man's stamina, this man's aggression, this man's power, he's a breath of fresh air to not just Spurs, to the Premier League. And I think he was brilliant yesterday. Brilliant.
Yeah, such a look, and it's unbelievable the level of consistency he shows for such a young player. It's quite incredible, and what a find we have here in Destiny Udogie. I'm so happy with him, and honestly, I couldn't be happier with any left back. Even if we'd signed him for 100 million, I would be delighted with his performances. But the fact we got him, for a cheap deal, and he's so young. It's incredible.
I'll just add to that very quickly, Simon. Just very, very quickly with this. After Brighton, when Ange came out and said we were tired, yes, he's had a suspension or two, but this man doesn't look tired at all. This man looks like he can carry on and carry on and carry on. His recovery seems to be incredible as well. And I think, was it this game that Paul O'Keefe even said before, he might have even had a tight hamstring and might not even be playing. So if that's how he played with a suspected tight hamstring, imagine how he's playing when it's fully recovered. He's just a joy to watch.
100%. Next up, Rodrigo Bentancur. I gave him an 8. Brian gives him a 7. I thought had a really strong showing for the majority of the game. Obviously, did go off after 18 minutes. But what I loved about Bentancur is he has that little bit of quality that the other midfielders didn't have, just to play these quick first-time passes into the front three to get our attacking play going. And I really felt all our good attacking moments did come through Bentancur. Those first-time passes were absolutely fantastic, and obviously he was captain on the day as well. I thought defensively it was brilliant. There was one moment as well. He did a lovely pirouette in the central midfield to get in the middle of two Burnley midfielders. I thought for the majority of the game he was absolutely brilliant. Did seem to tire late on, and that's maybe part of the reason he was brought off. But I thought when it comes to our midfield, he's a step above the rest.
Oh, that he most definitely was. The only reason I've gone down, given him a mark less than you, is because, like I said, I think the midfield just weren't the strongest unit. I think the defence by far was, and like you said, he seemed to tire at the end, and he is on another level. And unfortunately, the players around him weren't on the same wavelength as him in this game. But yeah, that's the only reason that he's gone down a mark for me, is because I just think the defenders stood out and they deserve the top marks.
Absolutely. Next up, Ollie Skip. We both gave him 5s here. Really poor from Ollie Skip, to be honest. A big opportunity again for him to stake a claim for the first team. Apologies, and he didn't take it. Again, he was found wanting of quality. Obviously, the hard work and endeavour is never in doubt, but even on that front, I'm not saying he didn't work hard, but he just seemed a bit off it, even off the ball, not making as many challenges as he should have, getting caught out of position. He did have one moment of quality. He played quite a nice through ball to Richarlison, who snapped at a shot and put it wide. But I just feel like whenever he's on the ball, I never really have the confidence that something's going to spark into life or something's going to happen, and he's going to find that moment of quality. And more often than not, he gives the ball away and the move breaks down, or the move slows down at the very least. So, yeah, I gave him a 5.
Yeah, the only thing I can say on that is, like I said to you when we were doing the review of the game, is I remember one lot overhit pass from him in the first half, and then him coming off the bench. Oh, sorry, going on the bench, being subbed off. I can't remember a single thing he did, and as much as I want him to succeed, I just don't see him in the Ange system.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think I don't think he's that suited to playing the football that we want. But Look, I'm rooting for him. I really hope he can improve, and maybe with time that will happen. But I don't know if he'll get the time with the midfielders, back at the in mid-February, and these games are crucial for him. Is my point. Like he's got to really be staking a claim in these games, otherwise he's going to be out the team again, and he's not going to get that opportunity. Next up, Giovanni Lo Celso. Both gave him 6s. I don't think it was a terrible performance. He did spend a lot of this game on the floor. I felt looking for free kicks and trying to buy things, and half the time the referee wasn't buying it, and it was quite frustrating. Did have a few nice moments, a bit of quality in the pockets of space that he did find. Did force one save out of the goalkeeper with a long-range effort. It was a pretty routine save. He's had better games. I thought it was much better against Bournemouth. It wasn't his best, bit frustrating, but still had a few moments in there to look out for.
Yeah, the way I look at Gio is you've got the elegant side of him and you've got the work rate side of him. Bournemouth, we saw the elegance. This one was the work rate. Burnley were obviously coming here to ruffle some feathers and be physical. Every time Gio went down, though, I'm like, oh, here we go. Every time he's the one player that if he goes down and stays down, I'm like, uh-oh. They kept him quiet, but he put himself in positions to get fouls and win fouls for us. But like I said, it was more the hard working display more than the elegant, and didn't do that much to impact the game.
Yeah, agree with that. Next up, Richarlison. We both give him 5s. Bit of an anonymous performance. Obviously, he had those 2 early chances early on, Richarlison, where both on his left foot. One of them, he skewed badly wide after being played in from Skip. The other one, I think Bentancur played him in, or maybe it was Gio, and the shot went straight to the keeper. Wasn't the best finish as well. Did struggle to get into the game. I thought his hold-up play was pretty poor in overall. I thought in general it's been better in recent games, but I thought it was a bit of reversion in this game. Second half, he was pretty anonymous. He pretty much had one opening, and that was just before the goal. And he screwed up, didn't he? Kind of somehow put his foot over the ball, allowed the goalkeeper to gobble it up. And luckily for him, the goalkeeper played it quickly, and Porro intercepted and scored. If it wasn't for that, we would have probably been ruining some of his missed chances even more. So a bit lucky on the day. Yeah, it wasn't a great performance from Rishi. Didn't really get involved too much. He tried. He did run in behind a bit, but definitely wasn't as good as some of his other recent performances.
Yeah, listen, with Richarlison, again, I think he's so heavily... When you've got people like Son or whatever that can create something out of nothing, Richie isn't one of those, in my opinion. He needs someone to create something for him, make it happen, and it just wasn't happening yesterday. It just wasn't. When he did have a shot, he had another one that he keeps snatching a shot wide, doesn't he? He likes to drag that shot when he's through, which he did again. He needs to work on. His work rate was good, like it always is. You guaranteed that with Richie, but he just faded as the game went on, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he did, and he was even taken off. Dane Scarlett came on, had a bit of a run out in place of him, so it was not a great performance from Rishi. Next up, Dejan Kulusevski, 5s again, all round. It was one of his poorer games, unfortunately, for Dejan. Obviously, a big fan of his, but didn't really impact the game, especially the first half. He was on the right-hand side, wasn't seeing much of the ball. He had a couple of occasions where he cut inside, but both his shots were blocked, and had another occasion where he cut inside and shot, and it went over the bar. He then got his chance to move centrally once Brennan Johnson moved over to the right, and I even then thought he struggled to impact the game again. He was getting on the ball a bit, but wasn't able to really impact the game in an attacking sense like we've seen him do. So, 5s, unfortunately, for him. Wasn't really his most impactful game.
Yeah, for me, where I am with Dejan Kulusevski right now, for me personally, is we just need to say, right, you are going to play in this position, and this is your position for Spurs, and you're going to keep playing there. And I'm hoping that is in competition in the central midfield as the 10 alongside Maddison or whatever we plan to play, because this constant moving him about, yes, I understand it could be because he can work on this defender or fullback, but it's just not working. It's just not working. There's games where he sticks in a position and has a huge impact, or we move all over the place trying to force him to have an impact, and it's just not working. Don't get me wrong, he works his heart out. He runs his socks off. There's no doubt in that, but I think we're we're not getting the best out of Kulusevski because we just can't identify the best position for him in an Ange system. I personally think it's in the number 10 position, but we'll have to wait and see. But moving him all about the place, trying to get his influence, I don't think it's working, Sim.
Yeah, maybe it's too much change at the moment for him. I wonder if the Werner deal, if it comes off, if that means we're going to see more of Kulu in his central position rather than out wide. I would think so as well. So that will be interesting. Last of the starting 11 is Brendan Johnson. 6s all round. I actually thought on the day was probably our brightest attacker. Probably says more about the attack than him, but I think that is true. For some reason, he's the one who's come under most criticism, but I thought when he was on the left-hand side, again, getting in such dangerous positions and looking threatening, but unfortunately didn't really... he looked threatening, but never really took the game to Burnley. He had that one effort where he cut inside and shot, forced a good save out of the keeper. He was the one who was running in behind and causing a lot of trouble for the Burnley backline. But again, I feel like there are some occasions where he's got all that space to run into, especially on the outside, and doesn't really go for it. Doesn't open his legs and just trying to burn them for pace. But I think once he moved to the right, looked a bit more comfortable on the right-hand side. But I think he was maybe tiring at that point. And never really was able to cause too many problems in the last 20 minutes or so for the Burnley backline. But I think if anyone was going to... he did have a few shots, didn't he? A few volleys. One volley forced to save out of the keeper. One of them he miscued quite wide. But it did seem, I have to say, if anyone was going to get on the score sheet or make something happen, it did seem it was going to be him.
Like we said earlier, I think if Brendan Johnson gets in these wide spaces last season at Notts Forest or even this... he goes past the player. He has the confidence. He runs past. He scored a lot of his goals last season doing precisely that. I think he's come to Tottenham and his confidence, just whether he thinks he should do it or if he can do it. I really am backing this guy to come good. And like you said, he did look the brightest of that three. If you look at the chances that he had, whether he should have taken them or not is another thing, but at least he's getting there. And it's just he just needs that one thing to go right, and then I think we start talking about a different Brendan Johnson, and hopefully that comes against United. But like you said, Cyril, I think it was the brightest of a bad bunch yesterday.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, next up from the substitutes, we got Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I gave him a 5. Brian.
I gave him a 6.
Brian gave him a 6. You're right. It was my bad. I didn't tell Sammy that you gave him a 6. Apologies. I actually thought he had a really bad cameo, actually. I thought it was one of his worst cameos. There we go.
Cheers, Sammy.
I thought he was doing some really stupid passes, and there was one near the end where he plays a blind square pass straight to a Burnley player and sets him up on an attack, on a counter-attack, which put us in trouble. Really, really poor from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, to be honest. And I was very frustrated with him. It nearly cost us in the end.
Yeah, listen, Højbjerg came on, and I prefer it when he comes off the bench because he can see what we need to do to impact the game rather than Skip coming on. I think Højbjerg gives you more options. He's got up a point for me because of that block when Ben Davies was injured to set up the corner right at the end. I think if he's not there, we may be talking 1-1 and a trip to Turf Moor. Again, I'm hearing reports that he just stormed down the dressing room straight after the game. I think he wants out. I think it's quite clear. But he came on, had a job to do, and thankfully he made that block. And that's why I gave him a 6. And give me 2 seconds again. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
No worries. Yeah, that was a good block. It's a fair point from Brian Daigle. That was definitely right at the end there. That was a hairy moment, and Højbjerg was able to prevent what would have been a replay essentially. So he stormed out. Did he? Is that what people were saying? Is that what Brian said? Obviously, we'll touch on some of the other subs. Scarlett came on, Sessegnon, Donnelly, and Brian Hill. We're not going to give them the ratings because they weren't on for that long, but Sessegnon probably looked the brightest, albeit did struggle to really impact the game. Scarlett was putting himself about. Jamie Donnelly did struggle when he was on the ball, I think, physically against a lot of the Burnley players. Didn't really wasn't able to affect the game. Brian Hill looked a bit tricky. I'm just touching on the subs, Brian. The other subs we're not going to rate. What did you make out of some of the youngsters who came on?
Delighted for Jamie Donnelly. Delighted.
Just give me a second as well. I'm just getting my laptop just needs to put it on charge.
You do that. Listen, well, when it comes to it, let's run through them then. Jamie Donnelly, we've been wanting to see minutes against Brighton. He was about to come on and Ange told him to sit back down. I think that happened at Bournemouth as well. We've all been crying out to see what this young kid has to offer us, and came on and got a few minutes. So very, very happy to see Jamie Donnelly do that. When it comes to Dane Scarlett, I'm actually a big fan of his. I've spoken on this channel about him before, but now you look at it when it comes to Scarlett, you've got a lot of strikers that are coming through, haven't you? We've got so many now. Werner coming in as well. I think he had to get some minutes in, and he did. And the biggest miracle is we saw Ryan Sessegnon come on a pitch, and also walk off it as well. So miracles do happen.
In terms of Sessegnon, he's come under a lot of criticism for his cameo. Obviously, he didn't really get a goal. There was a couple of occasions where I felt like he could have done a bit more, take on his man, be a bit more confident. But considering it's his first game back after, over a year, or nearly a year, is it, for Sessegnon, I feel like people are being very harsh on him.
Well, first of all, Sessegnon, when you look back at the replays, that goal that people say he almost scored, that would have gone out for a throw-in or a goal kick. It was going that wide. So, yes, it got the deflection, which took it closer. But if that shot had been left without getting the touch, it would have been well wide. Simeon, you and I went to the Nottingham Forest game in the Carabao Cup when we lost 2-0 when I just arrived from Toronto. And the performance from Sessegnon was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal, as were a lot of the players on that day. And listen, this guy just hasn't cut it at Tottenham Hotspur. And unfortunately, and I'm one of them, have said that his performances have been very, very poor when he has been there, but he hasn't had any fitness. So he came on, he looked quite bright, didn't do anything to write home about, but it's another player that we have fit. How long for is a different question. But the players are starting to come back now. I don't see how anyone, including myself, could say, he had a poor, oh my God, he was bad. He came on for like 7 minutes or something like that. What can you say from him? Just, he's on the pitch. How much longer till he gets another injury is up for debate. But it's another body back.
And last but not least, we're going to rate Ange. We both gave him 7s. Obviously, we played his strongest lineup, so delighted with that, and delighted that he took the cup as seriously as possible. It's probably the reason we went through. I do think if he would have rested players in this one, we might be sitting here on the end of a bad shock, to be honest. So I'm delighted that he did take it very, very seriously. In terms of how he managed the game, making the subs and whatnot, he did try and change things and it wasn't working. Maybe at halftime, he, considering it wasn't really working at halftime, could he have maybe tried Kulusevski on the left-hand side and Brennan on the right? I don't understand why he is so adamant of not trying Kulusevski on the left. I really thought this was a good opportunity to do that, but he didn't. He did put Brennan on the right late in the game. I thought he obviously brought on the youngsters late on, which was a good experience for them in a high pressure situation. So that will only do them the world of good. So I thought he managed the game okay. We ended up getting the win, but I don't think he did anything special. But did everything we asked him to.
That's it. That sentence was it. He'd done everything we wanted him to do. We got through. The main thing was getting through the game. Clean sheet, which are few and far between at the moment. Also, the only thing, like you said, we predicted Kulusevski might be given a chance on the left. He wasn't. But most important thing was get through to the next round of the FA Cup. We wanted to see youngsters. We saw youngsters. And we go into the next round of the FA Cup. So it wasn't the most fluid of performances, but the job got done.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our player ratings for the FA Cup third round against Burnley. Let me know in the comment section below if you agreed with our ratings and what you would have rated all those players. I'm going to read some comments here. Star Crow says Scarlet looks bright. Scarlet looks bright though. King Huddle said Big Ange deserves a 10. RO877 says Gil wasn't terrible. So he thought Gil had a decent cameo. What was it? Adam Phillips says Ange deserves a 10 just for his presser. That's a good point. The presser was definitely box office, wasn't it? Absolute box office from Ange Postecoglou, especially when it came to the Eric Dier stuff. King Huddle said if Daigle doesn't really support the Saints, we need an explanation. What is that about?
Right, let me just... the way I support the Saints is when I first moved here... I'll tell you honestly, when I was younger, I used to support San Francisco 49ers. This is before my whole I don't wear red because of the filth. And then when I moved here, I said, right, I need to find a team that I support. And I won't go into the reasons why, but Carolina over here, or in the States, is like my Arsenal for a very personal reason. So I said, whoever knocks Carolina out of the playoffs is the team that I will support. And in the year the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018, the Saints knocked out the North Carolina Panthers, and that was it. So I do watch them regularly. I'll be watching them tomorrow against the Atlanta Falcons. I am a huge New Orleans Saints fan.
Well, there we have it. Buffalo, Soldier, Buffalo. Okay, I get it now. Werner can't score in a freaking brothel. Really, Werner has improved since Chelsea, ? If anything, he's probably declined, if we're being honest, but let's hope that he gets to his pre-Chelsea form, and that's all we can hope for. And we know that Ange Postecoglou is known for bringing players back to their former glories and being a great manager. So we know what Werner's qualities are. We know what he can offer the team. It's no surprise. It's no shock. So let's hope that Timo Werner can provide something for us in the next 6 months. That's going to be the most crucial thing. And I think we're going into this deal with our eyes very wide open, in my opinion. I think we're going into it thinking we know what he can offer. We know what his qualities are. Can we use those qualities in our system? I think we definitely can. Yeah. So I think it's about just getting through these next 6 months with another option and seeing what he can provide us.
Yeah, listen, there are some loan deals that work out. This, I mean, not compared, but like you look at when Jesse Lingard, when his career was going nowhere, went to West Ham, revitalised West Ham. There are loan deals that come through that do it. I understand, and I'm one of the sceptical ones. I'll be honest, but I'd rather all the money we have went on centre backs. And we need help up front. We've just been speaking about how our up front has looked lackluster in a few games. It's another body. Whether it works, we'll soon find out. But it's a wait and see. I'd rather we did this with a loan deal, and if it doesn't work, that's it. He just goes back, rather than go and waste money on strikers when defence is the main issue.
Yeah. A part of me does really think there will be some games where he's super effective. I really think that. I think, and again, it's going to be about who we're playing and opposition and that kind of stuff. If we play against teams who play with a high line, then he's going to be a lot more effective. If we play against teams who play a bit deeper and restrict us of that space, then I can see him struggling in those games. But I do see him being a weapon we can use in certain situations for sure.
Simeon, put it this way. Let's just say this deal gets wrapped up. We honestly think it will be done by Monday at the latest. Mm-hmm. It looks like it's the goer. I think he starts at Old Trafford. I think he starts.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
that's
would be very interesting. Yeah,
I can see him going there straight away. Like you said, with Son out, it stops having to put a left winger or someone that's not natural there, and I see him going straight into the team.
All right. Are we ready for? Yeah. All right. Let's get into reacts then. So we're not only going to be reacting to how Spurs fans reacted to yesterday's game, but also we're going to be reacting to some of the reactions to the Timo Werner deal as well. So let's get into that. Hopefully, it should be some funny. All right. Sorry, guys. Give us a sec. Sorry, everyone.
I mean, you've done this before.
All right. Let's get into reacts now. So, wrong. You're on the wrong thing.
Sammy's on fire.
All right, we're now going to get into reacts. Third time lucky. Olivia Buzaglu, she's a Chelsea fan. She says Timo Werner was a fan favourite. He was one of my favourites, and I'll genuinely be gutted if he goes to Spurs, even if it's a 6-month loan. His time at Chelsea might not have gone as well as I might have liked, but he was such an endearing character, and I loved him. So that's also one thing we didn't touch upon about, his character and his personality. It's something that is very important to Ange Postecoglou as well, and maybe he's the kind of guy who has that kind of right personality fit for the squad.
So we actually had a Chelsea fan come in on Ange management and say pretty much something very, very similar, saying he thinks that under Ange he could do very, very well with the style of football that we play. And he goes, the thought of having Kai Havertz at Arsenal and now us having Timo Werner from our Champions League winning team makes him sick. So yeah, you look at it, Chelsea fans. I hadn't heard about the bit about him being the character that this Olivia has said, but this is where the data analytics and what kind of profile player Ange comes in. It comes into it, don't it, Sim?
Yeah, 100%. And Andrew said on a number of occasions that, he really values the character of a player, and that means a lot more to him, even if there's a small difference in quality. He much prefer the character. So maybe that's what he's thinking when it comes to the character of someone like Timo Werner. John from Mighty Spurs says, in 2 seasons for Chelsea, Werner started 58 games, scored 23 goals and got 21 assists, playing in Lampard and a rigid Tuchel system. Doesn't sound like a player who struggled. So maybe a bit of revisionism happening here with his time at Chelsea. I mean, maybe the stats suggest, especially when you take in all competitions, which was like Champions League and FA Cup, maybe his time at Chelsea wasn't as bad as everyone's making out. But, I mean, Chelsea. I know a lot of Chelsea fans who thought it was absolutely rubbish. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, well, let me put another spin on this, actually. It just came to my mind is... This time last year, or no, in January, we went and signed Danjuma right at the end, which I said from the beginning was a huge panic buy. For me, that was just in case Porro fell through, so we didn't get another window of signing no one. And I said that Danjuma deal reminded me of a hyena going around the jungle looking for scraps. Well, this one's been done early. Is this an upgrade on Danjuma, which we went through last year? I think is a massive improvement on Danjuma and has been done early. So again, those stats look impressive, even though we think he was a flop at Chelsea. And I was under the impression he was. You look at those stats, maybe it's not as big of a flop as I thought. But I think this is a massive improvement on where we were with Danjuma last year.
Joe from Tottenham Joe says, we're replacing our best player in our history with Timo Werner. And this is like his reaction to it. And this is Lee Judge's, he's done it again! He's done it again! Well, to be fair, there is that element to it, isn't there? With how we've sometimes not really replaced our best outgoing players. I wouldn't really say he's replacing Kane, though. I think that's an unfair assessment of the situation. But I understand the sentiment.
Well, until a blockbuster number 9 comes in, or number 10, whatever you want to call them, it's always going to be this is the guy that replaced Kane. And coming straight after one that is showing his stats, to then you're going, okay, 53 games and 26 goals or whatever you said, and 21 assists, to then go all the way to replacing Harry Kane. It puts it's the both ends of the spectrum, isn't it? He's no Harry Kane. Let's get that right. This is not replacement. Timo Werner, under no stretch of the imagination, is a Harry Kane or even worthy Harry Kane replacement. But it's a player that's coming. Listen, like it or not, he's going to be a Spurs player. And we've got to give him our support.
And this is exactly what Jaco is saying from Jaco Katz. He says, Werner under Ange Postecoglou, and it's Vicario meme from yesterday. And let's hope that this is how it turns out with Werner. And let's hope Vicario is doing that after every Werner goal, because that was a great meme from yesterday after Porro smashed into the back of the net. So Jaco's fully on board with Werner coming in under Ange. Mike N says, fingers crossed that Werner is as unsuited to Ange Ball as Porro and Udogie were last summer, and he's as bad a signing as Vicario was going to be.
I mean, how to sum up exactly what we should be looking at right now.
I mean, how many times? I think it's a great point. I mean, so many people have had their say about how suited some of our players who are currently doing very well were going to be, and they've really, proved a lot of people wrong. So I think Werner's coming into this looking to prove a lot of people wrong about his time in England. So I think it's a great point from Mike Ken. Kane from the lane says Maddison, after Werner and Richarlison missed their 10th big chance, created that game. And that, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, because I'm sure Maddison's going to be laying them on a plate for them. And let's hope they show a bit of better finishing ability than they've shown over the past year or so. That's for sure.
Yep.
Zeus says Ange got Richarlison scoring again and then decided that wasn't challenging enough, so asked for Werner.
There's so many things you're like, that's a fair point, that's a fair point, this is a good point. Actually, I really like it. No, I don't. It's true. Listen, the ones that are right, the ones that are happy with this transfer, they're right. The ones that have their worries and concerns, they're right. But we're just going to have to see what Ange can do with him.
I've heard if he gets Werner scoring, he's going to go for Danny Welbeck next.
Oh, mate, we'll just start fucking all these players up. But listen, do I feel that with Ange Postecoglou and his style of management, he can turn players that have been on bad run of forms and lacking confidence into good players more than Conte? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think Ange Postecoglou has got that Harry Redknapp, Mauricio Pochettino, Martin Jol kind of arm around the shoulder, positivity to lend to players. And we'll wait and see.
Michael Hamilton says, all I'm hearing is Werner is rubbish because of his Chelsea days. De Bruyne and Salah weren't great at Chelsea too. I mean, it's a decent point. It's a decent point, but it's also a bit devoid of context. I mean, they left Chelsea at a very young age, and came back after establishing themselves at another league, and then came back to the Premier League as like fully fledged Premier League players. Whereas Werner came to Chelsea at 25 years of age, and then flopped, and now he's 27. So it's a bit different, but. It is true. De Bruyne and Salah weren't great at Chelsea, went on to better things, so maybe Werner can do the same. Maybe
and how good would it be for an ex-Chelsea person to fire us back into the Champions League?
I wouldn't mind that as well.
How good would it be to rub into Chelsea's, to give Chelsea some salty tears? That'd be fantastic.
That would be nice. Kane from the lane says, Postecoglou, okay, guys, we need a goal. Johnson, Richarlison and Werner. the classic Lee family dance. There we go. I hope they do more than that on the pitch, but
they need to work on that for celebration.
Hopefully that's them celebrating and not what they're them attempting to score a goal look like. Let's see. Turn the heat off says, it's Werner on the dance floor. You better not kill the groove. I think we got to get that going. Brian.
Oh, mate, Sophie.
We've already got a song for him. Surely that's going to be popping off in the stands.
Hopefully.
He hasn't even signed for us yet. I've already got a song for him.
Sim, we've still got to go to Stamford Bridge, haven't we? In the league.
If Werner scores at Stamford Bridge, that'd be beautiful.
Could you imagine?
That would be unbelievable. But some players have been with us 10 years and don't have a song, yet he hasn't even signed for us. And he's already got a song. I'm definitely on board with this one. Definitely on board with that one. But that is how they reacted to Timo Werner. Now we're going to go into some of the reaction to yesterday's game. And Zara said he has saved so many lives. Speedy recovery, Ben. And this is the challenge that Ben Davies actually picked up his injury yesterday, isn't it? Really good sliding challenge right at the end of the game with 3 minutes to go. And he puts his body on the line, him showing it again.
You could see, Sim, you could see for that corner when he was talking to the ref right before the end, he was struggling, but he's still there to put his body on the line and just be an extra barrier. They almost scored, obviously, how they missed that. But his commitment to the team is second to none, and we hope this isn't as bad a hamstring tear or injury as some of the others we've had.
Absolutely. James Weir says, it's been brought to my attention by a power that Porro Thunderbolt last night was eerily reminiscent of another legendary Spurs right back against United. You think Porro was doing his best Stephen Carr impression yesterday?
Mate, do you know what?
It's a great point.
It's a great point. It's absolutely. I think Porro's was a little bit closer, but you look at that back to back. It's
pretty spot on.
Do you remember in the Three Lions video when they get people reminiscing 1966? When you got Teddy Sheringham doing Bobby Charlton's Thunderbolt in the Three Lions on a Shirt video? That is very, very reminiscent.
Absolutely. Tottenham tweeting a picture of Destiny Udogie giving the camera a fist pump. Absolutely brilliant stuff there after the game, after yesterday's win. Pedro Porro on Instagram saying, dedicating this win and my goal to you, Harry. A really classy thing to do for Pedro Porro. There was a really nice moment where the whole stadium stood up in the 16th minute for Harry Pittman, sadly passing away after being the victim of a stabbing on New Year's Eve. And it was really great for the fan base to get together very quickly, organise this minute applause for him. And it was really great for Tottenham to put his picture on the jumbotron in that minute as well. And what a lovely gesture from Pedro Porro. Hopefully, his family, are aware of that, and hopefully it'll mean something to them.
Well, what I will say with Pedro Porro is, you got to remember, this is a guy who had to deactivate his social media at one point because of the abuse he was getting from fans. And to see, not just this is a class act by Pedro Porro. He is one class. He is the real deal. But to see the evolution of Porro in the 1 year, coming up to the 1 year he's been here, it's just wonderful to see. And like I said, a wonderful gesture from him yesterday.
Absolutely. AC says, this is a picture of Son. You can see his knees being strapped there. I think this is in training yesterday. It's important to know he didn't start the friendly today for South Korea, just noting that. He says, considering he just finished playing 310 minutes of football for Tottenham within 8 days, I'm not surprised, but I really hope he's taken good care of during the tournament. As always, no need to overthink, but all the tape says a lot, and you can see heavy strapping on that knee there for Heung-min Son. So really hope he comes away from the tournament unscathed. Obviously, he's going to be probably going to be playing a lot of football. He's going to be heavily relied upon. He's not one of those players as well where they take him off, if they're winning with 20 minutes to go. They're going to, unless they're winning heavily. He's one of those players who plays every minute of every game. He's captain for them. Look, I hope that strapping doesn't mean it's anything too serious, but it doesn't look great, does it?
It doesn't look great. So, like I said, we've got to put some context. It could be a very big precaution. It could be he's just had a long... not only has he had loads of minutes of football, he's just had across-the-world trip. So it could be protecting him from all the travel that he's had to do. So for me, that is just a huge precaution, and someone's taken a photo, and obviously... You send a picture of Heung-min Son with a knee strapping, and it won't go around the world. Oh my God, he's broken his leg. Oh my God, his knee's gone. I think that's a precaution.
It's like that meme from The Office when they go, "It's happening," and everyone's like throwing everything up in the air. That's exactly what happens. Exactly when any sort of injury is implied with Heung-min Son. Next up is an interesting video that happened at the end of the game between Vicario and Sessegnon. I do wonder what Vicario was saying to Sessegnon here, because he does seem a bit angry. He seems to be having a bit of a go at Sessegnon, or whether it's words of encouragement, or maybe he's telling him, look, there are a few times where you're hesitant. You got to be confident in yourself. Maybe use your pace a bit more on those times. But I've never Vicario definitely seemed a bit. I wouldn't say. I mean, one of the comments says he looked upset. I don't know if he looks upset, but he seems to be forcefully encouraging Sessegnon in this clip. I do wonder what do you reckon he's saying to him?
I don't know, but I mean, when I see that, the first thing I think about is a documentary with Son and Lloris. Someone that obviously they've known each other for years. Lloris was the captain. I just love how at ease Vicario is at this football club, and the impact and the influence and the emotion and everything he's shown for this football club. God knows what that was about. It may have even been not being there to cover for Ben Davies when he made that tag. It could have been a host of things. But just to see that even though Sessegnon has come back from best part of a year out, he's come on with 7 minutes. Vicario's like, this is unacceptable. Whatever it was or whatever he's saying, just when I think I can't love Vicario even more, you see things like this.
Yeah, I love that he feels that confidence and responsibility to, even though he's only new to the club, he can, speak to players who have been here for a lot longer than him in such a way. But yeah, I do wonder what he's saying. Maybe it is a case of he felt like Sessegnon wasn't doing enough defensively late on the game, especially with Davis. Picking up that injury. Maybe he felt like he could have done more. Or maybe I felt like as well. Maybe he feels like, look. He may be telling him, look, Sess, in those positions when you're one-on-one with a defender and you're late in the game, you've got to have a go at him. You've got to really take him on and have confidence. Maybe he's saying something like that to him. But interesting to see the reaction there from Vicario to Sessegnon yesterday. The Spurs OTM is the same video there. It's a bit of a zoom in, so maybe you get a bit of a better sense of how Vicario was looking in that moment, but it's hard to know.
Sim, I will just say, to add to this, though, it's great to see that this time last year under Conte and Mourinho, all they wanted to do is quickly go over, clap us from miles away, and then get back in the changing room. To see this passion and commitment and desire on the pitch as soon as the game's over, I love it. I love it. This is where we are going right now. The passion and desire and commitment from this club, or the players, so I say the players, is there for all to see. And Vicario is a huge part of that. Massive part of it.
Absolutely. Lost says family man. This is Højbjerg's last minute block, and what an important block that is. You can see 30 seconds on the clock. That is probably, I don't know if it's going in, it's definitely on target, that's for sure. And it's a very, especially with Davis being injured at that point, I don't know where he is in that clip, but obviously he had picked up that injury at that point, so really important for Højbjerg to fill in there and make that crucial block. And luckily for us, we ended with the clean sheet. THFC report with saying Porro and Bentancur, lovely little hug at the end of the game, lovely embrace between those two players. I'm sure they're getting they're getting a closer relationship as time goes on. Yudi says, this is him as a Spurs fan. Oh boy, I'm excited to watch my favourite team play. I'm going to kill myself. Oh, nice, we won. That's life as a Tottenham fan. Yeah, honestly, that's literally 90% of being a Tottenham fan. It's probably summed up in that chart. I think it's probably absolutely spot on. Vicario, J.Co. Cat says, Vicario has had one save to make in 90 minutes. I don't understand where this quote-unquote awful performance that everyone is talking about. It was mature, composed game, managing well. Also, the last minutes after our goal, we can't expect to play champagne football all the time. I think that's a fair point.
I have to say, I haven't seen, I know Jacko personally, but I have not seen one person say that Vicario had an awful performance.
No, I think he's trying to say, like, he only had one save to make the whole game. Like, what is it really as bad as everyone was saying in terms of the overall? As in the
overall performance.
Yeah, not him. Yeah, the overall.
Okay, yeah. Listen, the most important thing, like you said, we're so used to champagne football or playing the Ange Postecoglou attacking way. Some games you have to win dirty. Some games you're not going to win pretty, and this was one of them. With that story, I thought he was talking about Vicario's performance. Bad, Jacko. My bad. I didn't understand where that was going. But yeah, it was not the prettiest of performances, but the job got done.
Yeah, and I think it's fair what he's saying. I don't think it was like this terrible performance where we got lucky to go through. I think we probably deserved to go through in the end. It just wasn't the best. It wasn't our best performance, and we did struggle at times. But I think I wouldn't say we didn't deserve to go through or anything like that. I think we did. Hotspur report saying he's back, and it's a picture of Van de Ven yesterday warming up, and it's so great to see him back involved. And let's hope he's going to be fully fit for Old Trafford, because we're definitely going to need him, especially with Ben Davies out. And so great to see him back in the matchday squad yesterday, even though he didn't get any minutes.
So, I mean, I'll put it this way. We were talking about this earlier as well, and I said, you know what? If we could have one player guaranteed to stay 100% fit for the rest of the season, you could pick one player. Who would it be? look no further than Mickey van der Ven. For me, I don't know what you would say. For me, the way we play in defence, the highlight and everything, this guy is just integral. So if we could have one player that could remain totally fit for the rest of the season, for me, it's not even a question. It's Van der Ven. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's so crucial to the way we play and defend as well. I completely agree. I think we need him back as soon as possible. If I could have one player fit for the rest of the season, I think he's the player. I think as much as we have missed Maddison, not to say we haven't missed him at all, we definitely have. But I think it's fair to say Van der Ven's the one we missed the most, for sure, out of our team. And I think, a lot of those losses or draws that we've had would have been wins if he was in the team. For sure,
the impact he's had. I think, and I do have a lot of bias towards him. I think he is my favourite Spurs player right now. He literally, for me, was the best centre back in the league before his injury. For what he was doing, how his tackling, his time of his tackles, just a glorious defender. And we have missed him dearly. And I think he is a huge, huge positive to have. And please just stay fit.
100%. Opta Joe says Spurs have scored in all 22 of their games under Postecoglou so far in the Premier League era. Only Ancelotti at Chelsea has had a longer scoring start at a club. His first 28 games, expressive, and that's really impressive. You got to remember, how many games. First of all, last season, but in general, you have a 0-0 or you just struggle to score on occasion. But we have scored in every single game. In fact, we're on the longest scoring run in the Premier League so far with a run of 32 games. So really, really impressive from Ange, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at I've joked about with this stat occasionally, saying that I think in some of the first 10 games of the season, we had more attempts on goal in one game than we did in the last 3 months under Conte. We have been such a joy to watch. You always know there's going to be an excitement. We create so many chances. It's just great that we have been able to take one every single game, and long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Lowy says it took him a while, but it looks like Tottenham finally have their Kyle Walker replacement. It's funny he says that because it comes in a week where City have been linked with Pedro Porro to replace Kyle Walker themselves. They can definitely keep their hands off our Pedro. But yeah, look, is it fair to say that Pedro Porro has been our long-awaited Kyle Walker replacement?
Without a shadow of a doubt, the most improved player in the football club in the year that he's been here, bar none for me. I think. I owe him a huge apology because I really did go for him as a defender, but he has been magnificent. He's got the passion of Walker. He may not have the pace of Walker, but he makes up for that with his creativity. I hope this is a guy that spends the rest of his career at Tottenham Hotspur. I just think he is going to get better and better and better. And I would say in time, if this back four that we currently have as in the current back four, when they're all fit, I think we have the back four to rival and maybe surpass the Vertonghen, Toby, Rose, Walker. If these lot get to stay under Ange, this could be the next back four we're talking about in modern Spurs history. And hopefully the only difference with this four and Ange is they'll be able to put a trophy in the cabinet.
Absolutely. I thought that would obviously mean the world to everyone. Next up, Giovanni Lo Celso saying into the next round with a tick, and some nice pictures of him yesterday playing the game. I thought he was okay. Didn't have his best performance, but obviously he's put up a post, so like lovely to see out from Gio. Here's a United fan reacting to Spurs. He says, Spurs have Udogie and Porro locked in for the next half decade, and our fan base is still making Wan-Bissaka compilations. And then this is his reaction. It's just absolutely in tears. I love that meme. Absolutely brilliant. This is obviously Mourinho leaving into brilliant stuff. And he's absolutely right. Our fullbacks are brilliant, aren't they? And to the envy of a lot of rival fans, it seems, as well, which is great. Axel THFC says, my effing right back. And this was Pedro Porro there after his goal yesterday. Loved the passion from him. One of those passionate players in the squad, isn't he?
By far. This guy, honestly, you see it. I remember Johnny put it up on his Twitter, the way this guy celebrated winning a corner at Luton.
Yeah, I remember that.
After scoring a world-class goal, a pile driver of a shot the winning goal, he celebrated a corner, winning a corner, like we just won the North London derby. His passion is infectious, and it's what we need. We've had a lot of time where we've had players that are just bad apples. You look at this compared to what you see from a Tanguy and Dembele. This guy,
100%.
this is it. This guy's passion is a credit to the club.
Unbelievable, and you can see he was holding the badge as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely stuff. Gus says, I let out the loudest shriek when he did this, and this was Bentancur doing a little pirouette in the centre of the pitch. Absolutely loved to see it. He ended up winning a free kick with it, but look, he's getting back to his sharpest, isn't he, Bentancur? So more of that, please. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of Bentancur gliding past centre midfielders as the weeks go on.
The great thing with that as well, Sim, I will say, just very quickly, it's great to see that Bentancur's been one of these players that have confidence in their body. You see a lot of players come back from injuries, especially ACLs or whatever, and they may not want to trust the movement of their body like that. To see him just do it like that is brilliant for his confidence, and it just shows what an extraordinarily good player we got here.
Absolutely. Tottenham Hotspur tweeting out saying together with a white heart, and there's a picture just after scoring. Lovely picture there between Hill, Porro, Doggy, Kulusevski and Johnson. Really nice picture there. Alex THFC says, rest in peace, Harry, one of our own. And this is a little clip from the the minute's applause in the 16th minute yesterday for Harry Pittman. As you can see, the picture was on the Jumbotron as well. Really powerful moment there, emotional moment at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. Obviously, may he rest in peace, and thoughts are with his family at this terrible time. Axel THFC says, once again, do not put Ben Davies in the same bracket as Eric Dier. Davies is actually a very good squad player and deserves way more respect. And look, to be fair, Davies is, he's been the one stepping up recently. What more can I say? Like, I can't have any complaints. It's been a very difficult time for him and the back line with our defenders out, and he's really stood up to be counted.
And what I will say this, and I agree completely with, you said Axel, yeah, Axel. You look at it, and during the last few years, we've had people saying that they're bad personalities, their attitudes are stinking, their attitude stinks, and players aren't just good enough. They're not good enough, sorry. And I always used to say that when you're putting Ben Davies into a category, he's certainly not a bad personality. He's certainly not got a bad attitude. Whether he was good enough for Tottenham Hotspur to be a starter, that was where you could have maybe put him in. But he has shown once again what a dependable squad player he is and will be. He's definitely not got a bad attitude. He's definitely not one of those bad personalities that were being toxic. It's just whether you think he was good enough, and he has just shown over the last 2 months how dependable he can be as a squad player.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Splendid Sonny says, Udogie drops an average 8 out of 10 every game and no one even praises him anymore. That's the standard he's set, and he's only 21. Great point. I think we're so used to his level of performance at the moment where he just drops an unbelievable performance and no one even says anything about it because we're just so used to it. Raj Chauhan says, level of Spurs attack without Son is not great, to be honest. Haven't seen much of Valise, but feel like he could have done much better with the combined 98 million they spent on Richarlison and Brennan as their last two big attacker buys. Even Kulusevski looks more suited to playing central now. Yeah, it's a fair point. The attack didn't look great. Hopefully Werner can help relieve some of that pressure, but we're still going to be missing Sonny until he's back, won't we? So let's just hope we can get through this period, keeping the results ticking over while we wait for Son's return.
Correct. Completely correct. Yeah. There's nothing more to say to that. Listen, could we have spent money better? I think people know where I stand on this 100%. Do we need some more firepower? Yes, we do. Is there one coming in? By the looks of it, yes. So we're going to have to wait and see, aren't we?
Absolutely. James says, me when that hits top bins, and this is Pedro Porro reacting to him getting it in the little cup with the ping pong ball. Brilliant stuff. THFC report, we saw that one already, so we can scroll through it. David Ellis said, So we were bloody awful, and Rishi thought the ball was a coconut. Skip couldn't pass win, but somehow when it mattered, Pedro Pony twatted a thunder bastard in, and we jumped into sorting hat ready for a hot and cold balls. And this is the classic meme of the guy trying up a girl in a club. Absolutely fantastic
I've
stuff.
never seen that meme before. I've never seen it.
And like she's like very disinterested in what he's saying. It's a very funny meme. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Pedro Paul on Instagram dedicating this win and my goal to you, Harry. We saw that before. Brilliant stuff from Pedro. THFC report saying Vicaria's reaction to Porro's goal. We saw it before, but great reaction again. We'd love to see it. And that's it. That is all the reaction. Obviously, this is Ange Postecoglou as well, but we can't play the clip. But anyway, that is the react how Spurs fans reacted to the Timo Werner deal, and as well how they reacted to yesterday's third round win against Burnley. That is all we have time for today's live stream. Big up to everyone in the chat list. We've got one super chat that's just come through, so I'll read it out from Isaac. Sorry, Isaac Maldini says, Spurs fan for 3 years. I love it. Isaac from Uganda. Big up to you, mate. Appreciate you watching the stream and for all your support. Appreciate you. But that is all we have time for today's live stream. Before we go and click on the title of this video to go see more of Brian Daigle from Tottenham on tour. Go subscribe to him. Brian, you want to let people know what's coming up on your show?
Well, tomorrow I actually get to have a day off unless breaking news comes off. But Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. UK time, there is Cockle Doodle Do, our morning Spurs show. There is normally Anger Management, or there will be Anger Management, the morning after the game day, and various other bits coming onto the channel right now. Rez's new show every Thursday, Shelfside on Tour. And the channel is growing, and thank you to everyone that has subscribed after watching me or any of the boys from the channel on the mothership that is WeAreTottenhamTV. And yeah, you'll find us on Tottenham on Tour.
Yeah, absolutely. So yet again, go click on the title of this video. The link to Tottenham on Tour is right there. You can go and subscribe straight from the title. But that is all we got time for today's live stream. We'll be with you very shortly for any more news that does break surrounding Timo Werner or any more transfers that are set to break during this window. But we'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.